All right, everybody, welcome back to the Investorship podcast. My name is Nick Beveridge here with Jeremy Kitchen. Good morning. As always, how are we doing today, Nick? Doing pretty good. Good. I'm excited. We got a guest today.
We do have a guest today.
It's been a while since we had a guest.
It's been a very long time we've had a guest. We ran out of content by ourselves, so we decided to bring on people in the industry who actually know what they're talking about, so you can learn from other people other than our dumb faces. So.
Yes, and we're excited for this one. All right, Liat Arama.
Good
Am I
morning.
saying that right?
You are saying
morning.
that right.
Good morning. Thanks for being here. Liat, so tell us, who are you and how did you get involved in real estate?
Well, you introduced me as a professional that knows what she's talking about, so now I'm a little stressed out.
Now you got to
There you go. Yeah, you got to.
From Washington State, I've been in real estate for a little over 12 years now without aging. I am a landlord. I own 140 doors of my own,
Whoa.
tenant buildings. Yeah, not bored.
Nice.
And in the last year, I also started a management company to help other landlords in the space. My main business, I would say, from before is I would fix and flip apartment buildings. So I would buy those apartment buildings that are falling apart, comes with bad tenants, with lots of stories, to rehab, and then, keep them as a cash flow.
Wow. Okay.
There you go.
So you started this about 12 years ago?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, what did you say you did before that?
Well, before in different life, I worked for Microsoft. Have you heard about that company?
I've heard about it. It's not with us.
So
Yeah,
that's in previous life, but that was back. I'm from Israel originally, so that was back there, and then we moved here for Microsoft actually because my husband was also working for Microsoft, and in the United States, all I've done is real estate. So that was like first and
Okay.
only.
What did you do at Microsoft?
I was a partner account manager, so I was in charge on basically connecting Microsoft partners with Microsoft, which is in a way very similar to having a property management company. You're connecting with small professionals with a bigger conglomerate. So very similar.
I can
stuff.
see that.
Yeah.
So what made you want to move to the great state of Washington and start investing in slummy apartments?
Great question. Only God knows.
Well, yeah, why would you do Washington State? Obviously, that's where, Microsoft is located. So did it have
Yeah.
something to do with that?
Microsoft definitely brought us here. This wasn't the first choice. You are catching me on a Monday after a windstorm and power outages and bazillions of emergency call to the maintenance line. So not the best day to ask me why I'm in Washington. But Microsoft brought us here. Washington is a country in a growth mode. There is positive immigration. There's people moving in here. There's definitely growth in this area. We feel it on our business very well. So that's what brought me here. What brought me to real estate, I guess before anything else, is that sentence: they don't make any more real estate. It is such a fantastic product. It has limited supply and unlimited demand. That's why we thought, okay, this would be a good place to put our money.
Yeah, for sure. And Washington State. So just so I'm kind of painting the picture as well. So Nick and I are actually located in Idaho. So we're just your state neighbors. But I'm imagining you're on the western side of Washington, the Bellingham, Seattle area, correct?
It's funny that you call
okay.
Seattle the western side of Washington, but if you're from Idaho, then I guess you can say so.
Sure, yeah. Everything's western if it's past Spokane to us, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
So
So you decided to start investing in real estate. Did you decide to start investing like the money that you were making from Microsoft into real estate, or did you just decide to get into real estate full time and quit Microsoft?
Well, this was a gradual thing. The first thing we did 12 years ago, this was also at the time right after the previous recession where the mortgage banks crashed and there was a lot of, forgot the name of that. Like there was a lot of owners that went bankrupt and bank-owned properties and things like that. So back then, we took all of our life savings at the time and we did fix and flip. We bought literally in cash at the stairs of the city hall single-family homes, and we remodeled and sold those. And this was a fantastic business for about 2 years, which helped us, increase our basically our fortune for real estate investment.
Sure.
As time passed, that was like a seasonal thing. After the recession, there was a big stockpile of unclaimed properties, if you will. When that ended is when we made the switch. We've made nice amount of money. We've lost fear, which is a big deal in real estate, to lose fear.
Yeah.
I don't know if I recommend, but it happened. And then we moved that residential long-term buy and hold properties because we really like the idea of having somebody else pay our mortgage.
Yeah.
Super nice.
Yeah. I like that the most about real estate. In this country, somebody will buy you a house gladly. They line up to buy you houses.
Exactly, right. You gotta remind yourself this when you don't have cash flow for whatever reason. If something happens, you don't have cash flow, you're so upset, but you're still paying the mortgage. So
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
So what, if you don't mind going in a little bit deeper, what actually got you interested in like flipping houses? Was it like shows you were watching, or did you have friends or family that were doing it? Like what got you into that? Because that's a totally different thing from working for Microsoft.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, it was my husband. He made me.
Okay.
I hate saying that, but the first thing that happened was we knew we were going to invest in real estate. We were researching, we were thinking, we had all these ideas of things we could do in that space. And the way we work, we are a team, but we work like he has his department, I have my department. We don't interfere with each other's business. So he was researching this whole, now is the time for fix and flip, let's do it. And I was researching how to survive.
Sure.
In any case, he came home one day with a receipt. I swear to you, a receipt. And he goes, here, I bought this. It's in Seattle. It's in a place called Green Lake. I don't know if you heard about it. It's just a shed. Do something with it, and we will learn. That's how. Yeah. So I went to see that shed, and I found literally a shed. And he goes, you can build a second floor. You can build a house. You can this. You can do that. And this was one of our first projects. It ended up, well, of course, there was a homeless encampment in there. You had to get rid of that. You had to secure it. It took to get paid.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare of a project, but it was a super, super, super successful project because he bought that lot. It's in Green Lake. He bought it for 180. When we were done, we sold it for 750.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you get rid of a homeless encampment? Do you just like bring a power washer and just start going to town, or like how do you get rid of the people that are like on the street?
Yeah, there's multiple ways depending on how on their occupation, I would say. If you're lucky, then you have some drug activity, and then you just call police and they remove them.
Okay.
But if you're unlucky, they just live there. Then you have to go through legislation and carefully, gently. Remove them. 12 years ago, it was easier. Today in Seattle, it's a nightmare to get rid of.
Oh, yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah, that's why we like investing in Idaho.
Yeah, I definitely.
Yeah, landlord tenant laws are definitely different on that side of the state for sure. I do want to talk about one thing that you were talking about briefly. You lost your fear, and I want to just kind of dive into this for a minute because that is something that's very important when real estate investing or taking any new venture.
True.
Especially what you did. You took your life savings, correct? And then you decided to just go into real estate and you bought a shed.
Yeah.
Like, what's that process like? Walk us through, like, losing that fear and trusting the process, if you don't mind.
Yeah. And did you ever get it back? Did you ever find that fear again?
The money or the fear? The fear is gone. Well, I think my husband and I, we have a bigger fear, and that is to have no income. We don't think that being employed and get paid, no matter how amazing your job is and how talented you are, we don't think that's safe, and that is not a strategy. So all of our friends around us, you're crazy, how do you do that? As far as we're concerned, they are the ones who's crazy because no matter who you are, at some point in life, you will lose your job. And if this is the only income that you have, that's going to be a very unpleasant time for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course, as you get older, there's new generations in the game. You are less qualified. You're behind. Like this happen, need to face it. So our luck in some ways was that this fear was greater than the fear of risking our life savings and going on some adventure.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
to us, we felt like creating additional sources of income that are disconnected from W-2 is a must.
Sure.
Now, the more we research, by the way, the tax benefits and all of that, the more we fell in love and realized that we are actually making more money on our regular income if we're properly investing in our funds. But that was for us like the trigger. To tell you that it's easy, the first few up until today, there are days where you need some anxiety solution, chemical, to go through the day. Absolutely, it's not easy. But the thought process is always, okay, this is a bad day. This is scary. This is unpleasant. What are my alternatives in this life? And we think this is the best option.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you're a real estate investor, sometimes you just got to push forward no matter what. You're going to have difficult days, but you know what? They make drugs for that. So you just take the drugs and you move on, and the next day is a new day.
Yeah.
If any of your listeners are entrepreneur at heart, I've always said that a lawyer and a psychiatrist need to start a business together where you get the news with the right pill in any given moment. Think about it. Somebody needs to combine these two businesses.
Well, maybe that somebody could be you. It sounds like you're already on something. You're already miles ahead of us in thinking about that stuff. But,
no, we can do it.
Okay, never mind. You
already got a business.
We'll take it then. Sorry.
It requires some extra education, just a little bit more education at least. Yeah.
So how did you get 140 doors? Was it gradually, or did you make just a couple big moves and then bam, you had 140?
Oh, it's gradual. It's like a snowball. We started with those fix and flips. We've created some basic fortune. Then we've moved into a duplex, triplex, fourplex. We built our experience. You can't really go into big boys games without that experience. Banks will not work with you, and you don't want to do that in cash.
Yeah.
So, from 4 to 6, from 6 to 8, like slowly, gradually. At some point, we also opened a syndication group. Small, nothing major, but friends and family syndication group, which also helped us grow. And today our biggest property is 32 doors. And our smallest is 6, which we probably will 1031 exchange soon into something bigger because, that's how you roll in this game. Really a snowball.
Yeah. You're playing cash flow or Monopoly.
Yeah, Monopoly is a good one.
Trade in your little greenhouses, everybody.
Exactly.
So your biggest unit is 32 doors and your smallest unit is 6. I do want to talk about, you talked about you have your syndication going, but I want to talk about how you actually leveraged into building these doors. Because, once you have conventional loans, like you're saying, you can only get 10 of those. What did you do? How did you scale? What was that process like?
I moved out of conventional loans. That's the biggest secret of real estate.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger the loan, the better the terms.
Okay.
And this is something that it took us time to understand. It's definitely another jump that you do in your professional career in real estate, but the bigger the better. So we are not even I don't even think we're using all the conventional loans that we technically are allowed to use, because really, the bigger, the better. On all aspects, you get better terms on your loan, you save on your insurance, your vendors will give you whatever you ask because you are bigger. And when you have a lot of tenants under the roof, then you also have less cash flow problems because
exactly. Yeah.
One tenant paying the whole mortgage, you have more. And then statistically, the majority do pay statistically.
Yeah. Totally agree. I have one rental that's an RV park, and it's got 20 spaces that are rented out off and on. We have random vacancies and people moving all the time, but it is nice that I always get like 80% of the income almost every month.
Yep.
And it's not like that on a single family home. If it's vacant, there's no income at all, zero.
Yeah.
And it's hard to make money. But do you mind elaborating a little bit on what makes these larger, once you get past conventional loans, what makes these larger loans more beneficial? Like specifically, is Is it because they're non-recourse? Are they actually better interest rates, better terms, better, like less documentation that you have to provide? Like what specifically can you point at?
Yes to everything except for documentation. You definitely get better rates, significantly better rates. You get better terms. For example, I just closed the cash out refi on $3 million. Interest only for 4 years at 5% today in 2024, end of 2020.
There you go.
That's unheard of.
Bad.
You
Yeah.
only get those terms in larger loans.
Okay. And is that like syndication, or is that you go to a bank?
No, this is from banks. Syndication
Okay.
you use for the down payment. This is from banks. Now,
I
the only downside of these big commercial loans is really the paperwork. You
Okay.
need to be on top of your financials. You need to be able to produce very professional reports. You need to explain every line. You go through hell to get these loans,
Sure.
but it's worth it.
Yeah,
It's
probably for
significant.
good reason. I would guess, if you're getting a $3 million loan from a bank, they probably want to make sure they cross their T's and stuff.
Yeah. Harder than an FHA loan to get. You need more than a 660 credit score type of.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Sorry, they also check your personal experience, which is why that path you go through, the owning some single family and remodeling, this is part of your journey to get to these loans. You can't just come in fresh and get a $3 million loan. You have to show some experience.
Mm-hmm. All right. I hope most people heard that. You gotta start small.
Yeah.
%.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the transition real quick? I know we're going to transition into AI here shortly, but can we talk about the transition from residential to commercial? Because there was a point where you guys had to, like you said, relinquish your residential portfolio and then just move into uncharted territory. What was that like for you?
Great question. Again, if I go back to other fields that we have and how these, so, okay, we've learned we can make money from real estate and now we have 2 sources of income and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have that fear of, oh my gosh, I have a single family home. I'm relying on one tenant. Just like before I was relying on one W-2, now we were worried. We're really anxiety-driven people. It's our fear that drives us to success. So I always say, like, if you know how to manage your fears correctly, you get to good places. So that's what it was. At some point, we saw the fix and flip markets becoming less and less attractive. We knew that's a seasonal thing. It was clear to us that this is an opportunity that will die down. But we were still interested in staying in real estate. And, we've never owned a single family as rentals other than, until we sold them for a flip or whatever. We started with like the first time we bought a buy and hold was a duplex. And you immediately see the difference, right? Like one side is vacant, you're still doing good. One side is like, okay, so you're not cash flowing, but you're still paying your mortgage. It's huge difference.
Well,
and
for
then
sure.
We literally went 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 16, 24, 32. That's our numbers.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you just kept continuing the trend upward. That's all you do.
All you do responsibly, slowly, slow and steady.
Cool.
So before you created Keasy, what were you doing for property management before then?
Yeah, so I always managed everything on my own. Or I should say at the very, very, very beginning, I paid a property manager and I did not understand what they're doing. They took a lot of money from us and I could not understand what exactly they're doing all day long. The justify was 10% of their monthly income. So then I took over and I found out that they're doing nothing most of the time. And when they do something, they actually charge you more. So the 8 or 10% they take from the income, this is just for them to exist. When they actually work, when they find you a tenant, when they send a repairman, they charge more. So, and then it doesn't happen much. So I started running our own portfolio at a very early stage, maybe 3-4 doors I already took.
Hey, quick commercial break here. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I really do appreciate it. If you want to give back, let me help you buy a house, or I can help you sell a house. It's the only way I make money when I'm not investing in real estate. I don't make money on this podcast or the events I do, but I do make money only when I help people buy and sell houses. So if you're looking for your next investment and you're here in North Idaho, I want to help you personally. If you are not in North Idaho, I can still help you out. I have a vast network of referral partners all across the country, and I can find the right real estate investor savvy agent for you so you don't have to. It doesn't cost you a thing. Thank you for your support. Back to the show.
Ownership on the management. And at the beginning, I did that literally with pen and paper. And then I had this Excel spreadsheet that I created for our collection. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so fancy. Look at my Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
As we grew, I implemented more technology into the business, and it just got easier and easier and easier. So that's how I started, and that's what brought me to start Keasy, understanding that if you put in a lot of technology into the space, you're making everyone's life easy. You can charge a lot less and still be
for sure.
money. Yeah.
And I want to say, like, on record, like, I still feel like a very fancy boy when I use an Excel spreadsheet. Like, I am not good at Excel at all. So when I finally figure one out, I have to show my wife. I bring my wife in the room. I'm like, look, I got all the lines and I add up at the bottom. Aren't I smart? And my wife's a transaction manager, so she thinks I'm kind of dumb in that area.
She pats you on the head like, good boy.
Yeah, good job. You're so good at handling things.
Well, at some point, move to an app. I'm just saying, at some point you want to move to an app. And for me, when I first moved into software to manage my real estate, I think for a good 6 months, I kept my Excel and I compared, and I was always so impressed that the numbers match.
Cool.
It took me 6 months to be like, I trust this software more than I trust the Excel. I trust the process. It's a process. It takes time.
Yep. I think it's a process with most businesses. That's kind of what I implement. I own a real estate photography business, and I just recently started outsourcing. When I was at the beginning of my outsourcing, I was still doing the editing just in case they didn't pull through with their job.
Yeah.
And so I was paying them and I was working overtime. And then I soon realized that they were doing a better job of it than I was. So I kind of gave myself up control of it. And it's working so much better now that I trust the process.
And, you also need to know that sometimes the process will fail. And it's fine.
Yeah,
You'll
absolutely.
figure it out. That's part of trusting the process is also trusting I'm going to figure it out if something doesn't work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So can you tell us about your company, Keasy.ai, and how you came up with the name, what it is, what does it do, all that juicy stuff?
Sure. So Keasy stands for give me the keys, I'll make it easy. That's what it is. Yeah. We are making landlord life easy. And what it is really is a landlord concierge. If I have to summarize it really to narrow it down. We're offering everything a landlord needs on property management services, but we sell our services a la carte. So the way this works is you do pay us $25 per month per door, 24/7 access to the concierge you and for your tenant.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, and you're also paying that for collection management. So for $25, we're watching your property. We know if your tenant paid rent or not, and we know who your tenant is, and we have all the information we need to help your tenant in case they need help.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else we do is a la carte. If the tenant calls us and they need something, then we would do or not do whatever is needed based on your instructions.
Okay.
Super modular. You can tell us, just take care of everything and bill me, and then you will get a bill for whatever happened and how much it cost you. Or you can say, I want to know everything and I'll decide. And then when the tenant calls us, we will forward this to you and you will tell us if you want us to do anything. And we can do everything. We can dispatch any vendor, plumber, electrician, repair and maintenance, anything you need. And we can also do all the management services. Send a new list, evict your tenant for you, place a new tenant, do an inspection, read your meter. Any errands a landlord need, we sell, but we sell it à la carte. And generally speaking, our prices is $25 per door per month for the envelope, if you will. $125 is what we charge for a site visit. So if you want to send we call them the key holders. If you want to send a key holder out to your property to do something, that's $125. And if you want us to do an office job for you, like renew a lease or write a notice or anything that can be done from the computer, $75.
Okay.
That's it.
Now, when you send out these people, like I'm assuming they're people. This is an AI-based company, so they're not robots. You're sending out, they're people. Okay.
No, when
Just want
we
to make sure they weren't like some like half bionic man, half robot thing that came and broke your kneecaps if they were late on the payment or something. Like, how does that work?
Well, eventually they're going to adopt that when the Tesla bots are.
Oh, right. Okay.
we have bots and people working at Keasy. Of course, when it's time to go out to the field, a human does that work, and we also have a human override. Where the bot and the AI comes in is in that communication in between. So when your tenants can call, text, or email us. If a tenant calls, they still get to a human. We're working on that, but we do have the option for tenants to speak to humans. But tenants can chat and can email, and the response that they get are written by bots that are trained based on the area where the property is. So our bot name is Cody Compliance. And Cody, he knows exactly who you are, what's your address, what landlord's tenant laws and protections are applicable for your address. And when you ask him a question, he will answer in compliance with the specific rules of regulation of your property. And that's where AI comes in, because all the back office is done by a very lean and mean team, because Cody is really helping us save and reduce costs, and he's also protecting us since people make mistakes, bots make less mistakes.
When tenants are texting this bot, do they know it's a bot pretty quickly, or like are the responses like immediate and paragraph longs, like where I'm just chatting with a bot here, or is it a little more strategic than that?
No, Again, it depends on the bot. Cody Compliance, they speak to a bot because the bot will write the answer. Right now, since we're still, we're brand new company, so the bot writes the answer, a human reviews it, we make sure it's personalized, and somebody signs it. But for example, we also have Leasing Lisa. That's a chatbot that helps landlords.
Lisa.
Yeah, Leasing
like
Lisa.
Fun. What cool names for your AI. I love it. So you got Cody Compliance and Leasing Lisa.
Handy Andy.
Yeah, Eviction Eric?
We don't have an eviction, but we do this by hand. But we have also Handy Andy. So Handy Andy, Leasing Lisa, Cody Compliance.
Okay. Handy Andy.
Get out, Gary.
If you have more names you want to suggest, you're welcome to. Clearly, we are very...
That's what I do. I love creating and like thinking of this stuff. Like, if you ever need help on that, let me know. But it sounds like you're doing really well. This is fun. I think it's cool. So
I think people should just leave in the comments what their recommendations for.
Give us more names. I'll tell you. I mean, we would like to have like a female and a male for every type of bot. So if you have a male version for Listen Lisa or a female for Cody Compliance, I'm open to, expand.
AI could probably help you make those names too.
I know, right? How do you think we came up with these names?
Yeah. And so, like, real quick, like, I don't know a ton about AI. Nick knows more than me. He uses it all the time in his businesses. With your AI, is it powered by, ChatGPT, or have you built your own infrastructure of AI?
Yeah, it's powered by ChatGPT, but it is on our infrastructure. And the way I like to call it, like, there is this big puzzle at Keasy that we're still putting it together. It's not all the parts are in place, but there are different parts of AI and automation that we built, and we're slowly putting them together to create basically an automatic property management platform with very little human touch. So there's still people here, people there. As I said, Cody Compliance, we still watch it. We're not going to let the bot send an email without a human. Listen, Lisa, she runs loose because all she does is schedule meetings. So she's like out there scheduling meeting, but if somebody asks a question about leasing requirements, for example, or will you accept A, B, and Z, that she sends to a manager, because we still don't like her to tell. I don't want Lisa to decide if somebody is or isn't qualified to live in an apartment.
Sure.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah, so there's pieces of the puzzle, and the way we do it, actually, we call it, we are automating ourselves out of a job. So literally, every week we sit down, our small team of people. The bots are not coming to that meeting. And we go, what have we done this week multiple times that can be automated or perfect, or how much time can we save on the process? And every week we knock something down. And until we're all in the Caribbean while our business runs smoothly. That's the end goal.
Do any of your AI bots ever have, tips with each other? So say you have Cody Compliance and then you have Break Your Legs Brian, who comes, Break Your Legs Brian tries to collect the payments, and Cody's like, no, you're not allowed to do that.
Little do they know that the tenant has its own bot.
Yeah.
tenant Tom.
Exactly.
And he's allowing his bot to chat with what he thinks is the manager.
Just, you guys figure it out among you bots and let us know the final result.
Yeah.
We don't let
I'm just saying, if a robot came to my house named Break Your Legs Brian, I'd pay. All right, man, you sound like you should write a check. We'll write a check. So yeah, you started, how long ago did you start this again? I'm sorry?
We started it this year, actually. Informally, we started it last summer because at some capacity, I was doing favors to friends, running errands, managing properties for some time, since I have a pretty large portfolio already. Officially, we've launched it this summer. Okay. We got 100 doors into the service in less than 3 months. Nice. Then we were a little overwhelmed with how successful that is. So we took a keep the promise break, and we quickly hired the people and, did what we need to do to make sure that we're keeping the promise. And we're growing very fast in Washington State, and we're actually thinking to expand to other states as well in the near future.
Very cool.
Okay. So right now, are you only operating in Washington, or can people in other states give you a try?
We're currently only operating in Washington, but if you're in Texas or California or Oregon, then this trio is on my watch list for the near future. I would love to hear from you and put you on the list.
Okay, great. Well, I think a lot of our audience are in North Idaho or Spokane area, so at least we got the Spokane people for you.
Spokane, for sure. Spokane, we're there, we're growing there, and I would love to work with people in Spokane.
Yeah, awesome. And I want to talk just real quick. So you started, last year, this year. The timeline's kind of a little up in the air, really. Like, what have your numbers been? Have you been what does growth look like in this company? Like, what are you projecting with sales?
Yeah. So we've started officially in July, and we've doubled our sales every month. We are in November now, and the sales have been doubled every month from July.
Nice. Okay.
Currently, Keasy doors, not including my own, Keasy clients right now, we're at 150, and we have about 100 in the process in different stages of onboarding. We take the onboarding very seriously, since basically during the onboarding, we teach our staff and our bots how to answer questions on your behalf. So this is it's time consuming because we are still perfecting it, which is why it's a little bit slower still. But yeah, sure. I think we're going to finish this sale. Again, I'm not counting my own doors, just the Keasy doors. We're probably going to finish at 150. And I'm expecting to grow to 500 in Q1 of 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Let's see. I have another question here with so what are the benefits for, somebody coming into your company and saying yes, I'd like you to handle my property management. What's the best benefit for them? Because I think we talked about the human element too. I think that's still kind of necessary because people want to actually talk to a human. But what's the benefit for that?
Well, from the landlord perspective, the number one benefit at Keasy is the control. Instead of giving your property to a property management and have them do everything, make all the decisions for you, take the money from the tenant, deduct what they think needs to be deducted, send you the balance without ever asking you, did you want to repair that? Do you maybe want to replace that pipe? Do you want to replumb? Do you like that tenant? Would you like to renew their lease? Is it time to upgrade? They just do whatever they think and then send you whatever is left, if at all.
Yeah.
So that would be for the landlord the biggest thing. At Keasy, you can tell us exactly what you want to do on your own, what you don't want to do. Some of our landlords, they like to talk to their tenants directly, but they don't like to do it on Christmas Eve or on the weekends. The tenant calls us, we take the information, send it to the landlords, and the landlord calls back whenever they feel like. But if it's urgent, then the landlord texts us, send a plumber right now, and he's not involved because it's Friday night and you don't feel like doing it. So that's the biggest benefit. In addition to the savings, it's much cheaper than regular property management.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not dissing on my property manager, but like I've got a rental right now that I just got this year in Hayden, and it's renting for like $3,500 a month right now, a house, and management is 8%. And I'm still pretty involved in, like, anytime there's an issue, they kind of reach out to me. What do you want me to do with, something you want to get involved with the repair or not? But could be a great alternative, like it could save what, 1/10 is the cost.
That's the other thing with Keasy. I don't care how much rent you collect. You can collect $10,000, $5,000, $1,000. I do the exact same job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You need that $25 though. You got to get your taste.
Oh yeah.
Is what it costs us. We do provide tenants can call us 24/7. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving. There's a human on call all the time to answer and make decisions. So you get all that for 25. Now for the tenants, I actually think tenants benefit from speaking to a bot versus a human, because bots have no feelings and no opinions and no history and all of these things. So when you call or chat with Handy Andy doesn't know that you're 3 months behind on rent.
Right.
Handy will take care of your maintenance problem like it will take care of any other maintenance problem, regardless on how good or bad were you before with paying your rent. Lisa, she doesn't care who are you, how do you look, what do you wear, none of that.
Sure.
She's trained to make decisions and answer questions based on, fixed rules. And same goes for Cody. He answers based on rules and regulation in Washington State. He doesn't care if you are rude, if you are disrespectful. He doesn't care what the neighbors are saying about you. None of this matters. So I do think for tenants, having that process regulated and automated is actually better.
Yeah, I would imagine so, for sure.
And I do think Break Your Legs Brian, though, does care if your rent is 3 months behind. Speaking of that, though, like, does your company provide vetting services for tenants, or is that something that still has a human element for it?
Yes and no. We offer platforms to vet tenants, but we do require pre-agreed rules. So you tell us your criterias. Of course, if your criteria are illegal, then we will tell you can't say that, and we'll make sure you have the criteria. And if we send you an applicant that fits with the criteria we agreed on, you have to accept it. If you don't, you can't be a Keasy client. And we did have one case where a client told me that he thinks this tenant is not a good fit for the neighborhood. And I told the client, you're not a good fit for Keasy, and we said goodbye.
Yeah, that's how it goes. If that doesn't work here, you don't work here either. And I guess you go work separate ways.
Yeah.
Well, instead of Break Your Legs, Brian, maybe Collection Cameron.
Oh, Collection Cameron. Okay, yeah.
Cameron.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's a more PC term.
I'm watching Yellowstone, and it's basically Montana's Mafia, so that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I will tell you, I was watching Yellowstone. I was really inspired, and I was watching it sometimes during COVID when there was an eviction moratorium and whatnot. And I literally bought myself a cowboy hat, and I would wear it and walk around the backyard whenever a tenant.
I thought about it. Just taste.
Yeah. And I'm like, gonna be okay. I got this. I'm the cowboy. Nice. So it helped me a lot. Yeah.
Well, that's encouraging.
And there's no take you to the train station, Tony, then?
To the train station. We're going to keep going with this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My head's there right now, but.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to learn more, how do they reach out to you?
So our website, Keasy.ai, that's Keasy.ai. Of course, there is a chat bot over there. And if you chat with that bot for just a minute, you'll get to my calendar. You can schedule a meeting with me.
Cool. Okay. And we'll have that in the show notes.
Yeah, fantastic. And then there's also, there's multiple channels online to get to our team. We also do, by the way, we host a lot of community events. We train landlords on different topics. Like next week, we have a big session about middle housing. So I don't know when is this going to air, but if anyone hears it soon and wants to hear more about middle housing, which is a huge legislation change that happened in Washington state, then we're putting together, we're going to have an architect and a contractor and a bank at the same table answer question about what you can do with that. Great for everyone who owns a single family house in Washington state as a land.
So it looks like this episode will come out January 2nd. So the day after New Year's.
Email me for the recording of this event.
Yeah. No, but definitely, like, we'll get all your information in the show notes and everything. So if anyone has any information or wants to know about your future events, they'll just click the link in the description. Seems to be a pretty fitting thing people do. But before we kind of wrap up, I want to ask just a few more questions, if that's okay, if we're not wasting too much of your time here.
No, not at all. Go for it.
Perfect. So, like, with your own personal real estate portfolio, where do you plan on going with that going in the future? Are you going to continue investing in real estate, or are you going to be dumping more of your time and energy into the property management AI company?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to continue and invest in real estate. It's the best, in my opinion, place to put your money. And now that I have Keasy, everything runs so smoothly, it takes even less of my time to run my own business. So I'm definitely, as I said, I built Keasy for me more than anything else. I was Keasy's first client. So yeah, I'm definitely going to continue and invest and grow.
Cool. Is your syndication that you're on, is it for friends and family only? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is not a public offering on our episode or anything like that?
No. I will say this, if you are a real estate investor and you know what you're doing and you want to grow and you run out of your own cash, it's a fantastic way to grow, because we started this syndication group because friends and family approached us and said, we want to do what you do, but we don't have the experience, the time, the balls.
Yeah.
So if you're already in the game and you want to grow and you know what you're doing, fantastic way to grow. Everyone benefits.
Yeah, for sure. So I love doing that too. I don't have the balls to do my own thing, so I've given my money to Nick and he invests it for me. So it's a win-win relationship though. Like, and your balls, yeah, and then my balls grow. I do have a couple of questions though. Just we kind of wrap up the show with just some predetermined questions, if that's okay. So the first one is, if you have $30 million just gifted to one of your bank accounts, what's the first thing you would spend it on?
Oh my gosh, 30 million?
Yeah. Just a number we throw out. So.
Yeah, vacation. Taking the whole family, throwing phone in the ocean, someplace.
There you go. I want to throw $30 million into the ocean. That sounds fun.
No, throw the phone. It's $1 million. Throw the phone in the ocean. The money on vacation. Let's be clear on that.
Yeah, for sure. Next question is, what's the best book, if you have any, best book on business or real estate investing that you've ever read that you think would be applicable to, somebody getting into real estate or doing 5 to 10 deals?
You know what? There is a book in my office that is called The Worst Thing That Can Happen. The worst case scenario. It's a stupid book. It's a stupid book, but it's fantastic because it has all these funny worst case scenarios, things that can happen. And it's a book about giving you a proportion. Okay?
Cool.
What's the worst thing?
I think somebody mentioned that before.
It's one of these books that you go like, really? Yeah, really. I have it in my
Is it a real estate book?
It's not a real estate book. It's a life book.
Okay.
Because when you run your anxiety, when you're thinking about, oh my gosh, should I do it? Should I not? What's the worst thing that can happen? Right? The land doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. No, that's a good book. I'm actually going to research it when I'm done. I think a lot of people can benefit from it, me myself included. So,
well, unless the plates shift on the Earth, then the land could go, but I think it would take a while.
Okay, let's just add a subtext in your lifetime.
Right. Okay, that's right. That's true.
It'll be long before that happens, probably.
Yeah, it might happen, but my great grandkids are gonna have to deal with it.
Perfect.
Well, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you. And any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Well, thank you for having me. I had a great time talking to you. I love
thank you so much.
I love the different names you've offered. I'm going to go right now and see what more bots I can do.
Well, good. If you need more, please reach out to us. I would love to help you generate some names for that.
We can take some time and actually put some effort into that. Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely thank you so much. You provided actually a lot of value here today, like from just starting out in residential, getting over your fears, climbing the commercial ladder, and then starting your own property management business with unknown tools, but trusting the process, but also making sure that it's happening along the way. There's a lot of really good nuggets in here. And then thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was lovely meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting you too. And we'll see you next week on the Investor Shed podcast.
Thank you so much for checking out the Investor Shed podcast. If you enjoyed your time, make sure to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Follow along on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at The Investor Shed for shorts and promos about each episode. Do you want to be a guest or know someone who has great real estate investing advice and stories? Reach out to us at theinvestorshed@gmail.com.